Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Quotation again. In this video, we are going to discuss second way of reading input in Java, which is done by the console class. Also, we are going to discuss why console class was introduced in Java 6 when we already had a scanner class to read the input. But before we start, if you have not subscribed to my channel yet, please do me a favor and hit the subscribe button. Let's start. Now, if you remember our last video where we discussed about a scanner class, I said that a scanner class should not be used to read the password. Why? Because the methods that are present in the scanner class to read the input, it echoes or it prints whatever we type as the input. So here you can see that I've put a print statement to enter password, and then I'm using the next line method of the scanner class to take that input. Now, what does it do? Whatever I type here, it echoes or it prints and it shows to everyone and anyone. So this text is plainly visible to anyone. And this is not good for a password because it should not be shown. Now, for solving this purpose, in Java 6, there was a new class introduced called a console class. Now, what is a console class? It was introduced in Java 6. We are not going to go into details of all the methods of console class. I'm going to tell you about two methods. One is readLine, the next is readPassword. ReadLine is a similar kind of method that we already had in the scanner class to read the input from the console. The second is readPassword, which solves the problem that we had in the scanner class. What was the problem? That when we put a password or when we put a text using that scanner class method, it shows as a plain text. So this read password solves this problem. When you use this read password method, then the text that you're putting there, it is not echoing or it is not printing what you're typing there. So this solves the problem. But this console class, it is for the applications which are command line in based and which have an interactive console. So it is not as convenient as a scanner class because a scanner class has more methods than the console class. And also this console class is not suitable for IDEs because IDEs normally like IntelliJ or Eclipse doesn't have an interactive console. And for using this console class methods, you need to create an object, and if you don't have an interactive console, then that object will be null. So when you invoke these methods using that console object, it will give you a null pointer exception. We are going to see all this in the practical, but for now, just remember that why console class was introduced. And it has one important method of read password, which solves the problem of the scanner class. But the input processing is not that convenient as a scanner class, and it is not suitable in IDEs. Always remember to check for null before using the console class. So that this completes the theory for console class. Let's go to the practical section. Now let's start with the practical for the console class, and for that I'm going to create a class, say reading input, and there I'm going to add a main method. Now you'll remember when we were doing that scanner class practical, we created an object using a new keyword, but for console we are going to do it in a different way because here, how console object is created, we have to use the system.console. So when we use this command system.console, our object console will be created, which we can use to invoke the methods. But remember that we always have to put a null check. Why? Because in IDEs or in a system in environments where interactive console is not available, this object will be null. And if we use some methods using this object, it will give us a null pointer exception. So let me give you an example. I'll say console dot let's say read line. So I'm not going to do anything. I just created this console object using system.console. Remember this line. For console object, you have to use the system.console. And then I'm invoking this read line method. I've not put a null pointer, null check here. And this is an ID. This doesn't have an interactive console. It will give me this null object. And when we invoke a method on the null, it will give me a null pointer exception. Let me show you this. So the code is building, and it gives us a null pointer exception at the line 6 where we are invoking the method using the null object. So that's why it is always best to do a null check. What I'm going to do, I'm going to put a null check if console is equal to null. So don't worry about the if else construct. It is a simple English. We are going to cover if else in our later videos. Just understand right now that this is a simple syntax. If console is null, then what I'm going to do, I'm going to simply say that console is not available, please run program from command line. Okay, so then in the else condition, so if the console is not null, then we can do this method. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a variable username, and then I'm going to call console.readLine. And there's one more good point of this readLine method of console class. You can simply print the statement here. So you can say enter the username. Now when we do this, what it will do, it will print this line, enter the username, and then whatever you will put there, that value will be stored in the username. The second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a char array saying password. Arrays also we have not covered, so I'll create a video for that as well. This is just a syntax for creating an array, because console.readPassword, it gives you a char array. And here as well you can give this enter the password. So what it will do, it will print this line, enter the password, and whatever you will enter as a password, that will be stored in this char array. Now you might ask why it is not giving us a string. Yeah, this read password gives us a char array because it is good to store the password in the char array instead of the string. We are going to cover that as well in one of our later videos. For now, just understand this read password gives us a char array. Now I'm going to put two print statements. I'll just say that entered username is, and then simply concatenate whatever we have received. And of course, we are not going to print the password, but we are going to say that password length, at least we can say length is what we are going concatenate, and then simply pwd.length method I'm going to use. So what I'm doing, I'm just putting a null check now because this is ID, it will not run, so it should go and print this statement instead of giving us a null pointer exception. So it's always very good to do a null check. And then if it is not null, which we are going to do when we are going to execute our code using the command line, then it should give us this enter the username. Whatever we are going to enter, it will be stored in this string variable username. And then whatever we are going to do give as a password, remember it, you will not be able to see whatever we are writing here. That's the purpose of this read password method. That will be stored in this char array. And then we are just putting two statements to print the username and the length of the password. So first, let's run the code from here. It is building, and you can simply say that console is not available. Please run program from the command line, because our console object was null. So now let's run this program from the command line. Now for running the code from command line, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to create a text document here, and I'm going to name it as reading input because that is the name of our class. Are you sure? Yes, I'm sure to change it, and then I'm going to edit it. What I did, I just copied the code from IntelliJ. Now I'm pasting it here. So it is the same code, reading input, which has a main method. I'm creating a console object using system.console. Then there's a null check, which should not happen in our case because now we will be running using the command line, and then it should come in this else clause where we are going to store the username, password, and then printing that. So this all looks good. Let me close this and save this. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to run this command line from here. Yeah, I just click, it should come. So it opens here. Now I'm going to compile my code here. Java C reading input.java. So my code is compiled. You can see here the class file is generated. Now I'm going to run my code. I'm going to say reading input. Now you see that our code gets executed and it is asking for the username. And you can also see that our readLine simply method printed this username, and then I'm going to say code Titian as my username. I'm going to press enter and then it asks for password. Now you'll see whatever I'm typing, it will not be visible here. Of course, don't think that I'm not typing anything. You can try yourself. I'm just going to put it here at A, B, C. So three-letter word, A, B, C I put, and now when I'm going to press enter, it should give me that the length of the password is 3 and the entered username is quotation. I pressed enter, it says entered username is quotation and password length is 3. So this is how this read password of the console class works. It doesn't show you here, and then you can try it yourself. If you have any problems, just let me know. So this concludes the practical of the console class as well. This brings us to the end of this video where we discuss about the console class and how console class can be used to overcome the shortcoming of the scanner class for reading the password. We also did the practical using IntelliJ and the command line interface. If you like the video, please hit the like button, do share it with your friends, and please subscribe to my channel Quotation. Thank you so much. See you in the next video.